No Man's Sky. Na, 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 no. No Man's Sky. Na, 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 no. No Man's Sky. Hey guys, I'm Norman. There's something very personal about monster collecting games, don't you think so? Not just the act of catching the creatures, but the feeling that you're building something that's going to last for a long time. A team, a history, or a save file that lasts for decades. And for me, no series other than Pokémon has truly captured that. But lately, something has shifted with monster collecting games. It no longer seems to capture the spirit of collecting insects and battling them, which was the original inception for Pokémon. And today, between Pokémon Champions and Monster Hunter Stories 3, even No Man's Sky's Xeno Arena, it feels like the entire genre is pulling in 3 different directions, and none of them fully capture what makes the monster collecting genre truly special in the first place. The first topic I want to bring up is legacy. See, I've had the same Pokemon for decades. Literally, I have my Pokemon Ruby cartridge, and all of those Pokemon are now on my Switch. I would have loved to tell you I've got Pokemon from my Game Boy era, but there was no transition from Game Boy to the Game Boy Advanced. So as far as it goes back is Pokemon Ruby. And I have those Pokemon on my Switch today. So that's 2 decades worth of save data. Right? And that's where Pokemon has grabbed me. They always done this. The whole Dexit, when they removed some Pokemon from Sword and Shield, that's why that's such a big deal, because that was the first sign that your story, your legacy, doesn't matter anymore, you know? And that's why there was a big push, and that's seen again in Pokemon Champions, since you can only bring like 150 Pokemon into it, and now there's like 1,000. So it's very new to it. Pokémon Champions. It's supposed to be the ultimate competitive hub for Pokémon. And yet it doesn't respect legacy. So one of my biggest issues with Pokémon Champions is that it's a competitive focused Pokémon game, but it doesn't even let you do the most basic form of battling, 6v6, which has been a staple for the series since forever, since the beginning. This isn't just a missing feature. It's removing like one of the core ways to play the Pokemon games, the way it's been played since the beginning. And it gets worse. Again, I mentioned the limited roster, about 150 Pokemon at launch. It's missing certain key items that are really integral to competitive play, like the Life Orb and Choice Bands. Non-Pokemon people won't know what they do, but it's narrowing down the choices, and it's not even showing what actual competitive players use, since those items aren't in the game. Rental teams, again, another great addition to the Pokemon series that removes some of the barrier to entry, has been replaced with replica teams. And these replica teams require you to own said Pokemon. So instead of opening things up like the rental teams did, this further restricts things. The game markets itself as a competitive sandbox, but it's not a sandbox. It's a curated experience. It's evident just by removing some of these very important items. And that's a problem, because competitive Pokemon thrives on experimentation, creativity, and even chaos. When you limit Pokemon items, and even the formats, it restricts the experience. And then there's the uncomfortable part, the monetization. I was worried the moment I heard it was going to be free. I really just wanted to buy the game and own the license of the game and just play it that way. Some changes are good, don't get me wrong, but it feels more 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Now, my brother is getting his monster collecting fix in an entirely different game, Monster Hunter Stories 3. And this game is doing something that Pokemon is struggling with. It builds upon its systems, the gene customization, monster mutation. its own brand of tactical turn-based with its head-to-heads and managing your move types, and there's a lot of mind games. Myself, I've only played Monster Hunter Stories 2, and I was really hoping that would have been my next Monster Hunter game. I really enjoyed battling and doing co-op with my brother in Monster Hunter Stories 2, and during that time when I was obsessed with it, I really wanted it to be the next big thing, my next big monster collecting game. But where I think Monster Hunter Stories as a series misses a trick is by neglecting legacy. Like, how great would it be if you could carry Pokemon, if you could carry monsters over from Stories 1 to Stories 2 to Stories 3. Now, earlier I mentioned my Pokemon Ruby cartridge that I still play today because of legacy. How many games can you honestly say do this, that lets you carry over data for such an extended period of time? One of the only other places I've experienced this is in the Armored Core series. Between Armored Core 2 and Armored Core 2 Silent Line, Armored Core 3 again, I forget the subtitles of the games that come after, but again, you could carry your pieces from Armored Core 3 and to the games that came after, until it came to a point where even Armored Core stopped doing that. And I know technology is a factor, isn't it? You can't carry over the assets if the consoles change. Next, it would probably be the Mass Effect series, where I would feel that legacy carrying over your data for extended periods, your save data. But even that doesn't carry over your builds, the characters that you've made, right? It just carries over your decision. So truly, Pokemon is the only game that has this addictive legacy to it. Armored Core and Mass Effect to a lesser extent, but it still feels really cool. Carrying over your journey or your parts or your decisions between games. So anytime I see my Larry the Larvitar in Pokemon, I know my boy's like 20 years old. Pokemon series used to say the date the Pokemon was caught, but they stopped doing that. It's like a photo album almost, right? You think about where you were and the memories. He was named in homage of my Larry the Larvitar from Pokemon Silver. And this is what I mean. How many other games do this that makes you think of your journey in this way, with this level of nostalgia for your own experience and where you were when you played the first installment, the second installment, and the third, how you grow with the game and the story. And that legacy keeps me to every single Pokemon game. They've really got me by the gonads, right? Until recently. You know, I didn't buy Xeno, and I've not started Champions, even though it's free. And this has been the first time where Pokemon and its legacy has not managed to grab me. It's really strange. I'm the die-hard fanboy, the person who would defend a multi-million dollar corporation. I'm that guy. I'm the shill, and I'm not playing it. This is truly strange. I'm that shill that says, oh, but there's only 200 people working in Game Freak, leave them alone. But even I'm waking up and smelling the coffee. Because it's just greed, isn't it? It's just pure greed. On the flip side, I wish Hello Games and No Man's Sky would open avenues for me to throw my money at them. I love them. About free updates. I'm willing to pay for your updates, Hello Games. You've done it. We forgive you. No Man's Sky is amazing. Charge for a mother-loving update, please. I want 100 years of No Man's Sky, and that's not going to happen if I have no way to give you my money, folks. But now, going back to Monster Hunter Stories 3, the third installment lacks that player-to-player connection, right? That Pokemon does so well. Trading, battling. And that's what the genre is built on. Trading, battling, sharing teams. So the lack of multiplayer in Monster Hunter Stories 3 feels so loud. So loud. I went into my brother's room, seeing him just absolutely loving the game. I was about to go off to buy it and say, oh, well, I can't wait to battle your team. And then he told me it's not multiplayer, and then I didn't buy it. I was, in that moment, was just about to buy it. I assumed at the time maybe I could have joined his world, help with his ecosystem, and do some co-op play, since I expected it, since the second game was a lot like that. And we see this a lot in sequels. It's the sequel, it's the next installment, but it's so much less. I mean, sometimes it makes sense since technology grows, since they were able to reuse assets, for example. So in some regards, it's kind of understood, kind of accepted. But for Monster Hunter Stories 3, it really feels like no excuse. It's been about a year or two between each release. And even Monster Hunter Wilds, it released without the multiplayer lobby, the gathering hub, they call it there. And then, sure enough, in a later update, they released the multiplayer lobby. But it's a corporate decision to get the game out at a certain time to maximize sales. It's not done for a decision. It's not a decision made for the quality and the betterment of the game, is it? Whereas Pokemon Ruby was so future-proof. Initially, the game only lets you catch 150 Pokemon, but as Pokemon Colosseum came out on the GameCube, you were able to retroactively trade Pokemon from that game to Ruby. I mean, it really blew me away when I was a child, since I fully only expected 150 Pokemon to be on Ruby. But no, they created all the assets for every single Pokemon that came before. And now that's completely opposite to what we see nowadays, like charging for DLC that already exists. Even though this may seem like a similar thing, it isn't. This is thinking about the user experience. It's thinking about discovery, making it feel like a world. And it's that type of care that Pokemon has lost. Why didn't Monster Hunter Wilds come with its multiplayer unreleased? And if it comes to Monster Hunter Stories 3, why was it not there from release? So, if Pokemon is going to be run by greed, and Monster Hunter Stories isn't going to have multiplayer, then where am I going to get my monster collecting fix? This is where No Man's Sky Xeno Arena comes in, folks, which weirdly might understand something that these others don't. Interacting with creatures isn't the main focus of No Man's Sky, but it's also not disconnected either. And I find this interesting. Your creatures aren't just tools to collect. They're part of this already existing, living universe. So across these three games I've mentioned, something is actually missing from each. Pokémon Champions lacks freedom. Monster Hunter Stories lacks community, the multiplayer. And No Man's Sky lacks focus. And I think what makes monster collecting games special is somewhere in all of this. I think it has to respect the player's journey. It has to have an engaging system of building and battling. It needs a shared experience for the multiplayer, for the battles, for the trading. Monster Hunter's got some great systems, some great battle systems, some great building monster systems with its bingo gene system. Way more than, say, No Man's Sky. But that's not exactly void of it. You can alter the eggs of your creature in No Man's Sky, depending on their size, can affect their max HP, their max speed. So there's a breeding element. You can level up all of your stats after you get to 30. You can re-roll your moves after every level after that. There's a build. It's engaging. This is because No Man's Sky doesn't try to replace Pokemon, and it's not trying to out-system Monster Hunter. It just fits. The creatures aren't the entire game, they're a part of it. They've always been a part of it, even if all they did was just follow you or kill the odd predator if their trait was aggressive enough. They exist in the same space as exploration, survival, discovery, and because of that, their integration feels so natural to me. You know, No Man's Sky, it's not restricted, it's not monetized into the ground, even though I think it should be a bit. Come on, let me give you money, Hello Games. But it's just there. And I think that's why it works for me. Because when I look back as to why I got into Pokemon in the first place, or monster collecting games in general, It wasn't just battling or getting perfect IVs and perfectly built creatures. It was about the feeling that I'm in a world that's bigger than me and that my team existed inside there. They're not menus and stats or format. It feels like a world. And Pokemon does that so well. Monster Hunter Stories does that so well. But No Man's Sky does it the best. Or rather, I should say, Pokemon used to feel like that too. Even with its limitations. It still felt like your Pokemon mattered beyond stat numbers. But with something like Pokemon Champions, now it feels like everything's been reduced to efficiency, the format, the rules, the systems, the items. And I think something's lost along the way with that. That sense of where you started, where you got that item from when you picked it up off the floor and started using it in your competitive battles. It's now just numbers and pictures, isn't it? And I know that's always what a video game is, numbers and pictures. It's the illusion that brings you into its world, atmosphere, music, all of that adds to bring you into the world. But now all I see is monetization and numbers, things I need to buy that I haven't bought, and it's just... And again, you could say Pokemon's been like that from the beginning. The fact that there's blue and red version, and if you want to complete the game, you need them both. But I'd say that's a win-win situation. Corporation likes it because money, 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 more money, buy more things, that's great. But the child, it feels fantastical. The only way I can get a Gengar is to trade with my friend, and the only way they can get an Alakazam is to trade from me, since Alakazam exists in my game, in my world. And Alakazam does not exist in their world, you see? And again, yeah, you could frame it as a corporate decision. You got to buy both the games to be a proper fanboy like me. Actually, not that I ever did. I have a brother, so we just always kind of agreed which one to get for Christmas. I'd get the opposite to him, you see. And from a consumer and as a child, maybe not to my parent, my dad, who has to buy all this stuff when we were children. But even that feels like a part of a magical journey for the child. Which one do I get? Which Pokemon's in this game? As the consumer, it feels like you're choosing which world to get. And as much as I love the battle system in Xeno Arena, looking at the synergy between my moves, which has the most cooldowns, is it worth putting on a move that resets my cooldown, or do I want a self-destruct tactic that can probably wipe out two of theirs? Xeno Arena doesn't have the deepest systems. It's not got some of the head-to-head clashes as you would see in Monster Hunter. It doesn't have as many types as Pokemon, and it's probably never going to be built to be competitive. But it captures something that the others lose. With the nature of No Man's Sky being randomly generated, and you could both find, I don't know, a deer-type creature with different antlers, different colours, different eyes, different heads, different hoofs. There's that kind of, you could discover a creature that potentially no one's seen, and that's very magical with No Man's Sky. That's always been the case, but now I can take that creature and battle with it. And honestly, that's enough for me. That brings that sensation of being in a world, of discovering new things, being able to share these new things with friends and people within the game. That's what monster collecting is all about for me. And even in No Man's Sky, there's always people in the anomaly looking to battle. It is so alive. Even if monster collecting isn't your thing, your world is still affected, because every time you go into the anomaly, you can see people running around to the battle area battling. If you just pass through there, you will see people battling. So even if it's not a mechanic you've engaged in, it still affects your world. Just as I'm wandering around and I meet someone and I see people trading fossils, you know, I was like, oh, I've not even dabbled in the archaeology part of No Man's Sky, but again, I'm glad it exists for that feeling that I'm in a large world, possibly a world so large that I'm probably not going to dabble with every mechanic. And I think for some people, the Xeno Arena will be that. They may like that it exists, but it may be a mechanic that they never dabble in. And it's good, it's fine. Like, No Man's Sky has creative mode, abandoned mode. I'm probably never going to experience an abandoned mode in No Man's Sky, but my point is, it's great to have options. So yeah, I don't think monster collecting games are worse now than they used to be. Just seems they're different now. Each one, like, chasing a different idea on what the game should be. And maybe eventually one of them will bring it all back together again. I'm hoping it's Pokemon. Pokemon should be king. It should be the king. And it isn't. I've still got some of that copium in my pipe. I really do. I feel like the solution is just put more money into Pokemon. The games, I mean. Like, can you not, can no one do that? You know? On my deathbed, I'm still going to be a die-hard Pokemon fanboy. So please, let the franchise just be good. And if Pokemon's never going to do it, if they're never going to be the king of monster collecting again, the king of adventure and discovery and exploration, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to keep looking for that feeling elsewhere. And I'm very grateful for No Man's Sky's Xeno Arena, because I cannot get enough of it. I cannot get enough of being in Discord, seeing people discovering their own S ranks, the pride of finding your own S rank man. People call them Xenomons. I've been calling them Xenomans because it just sounds stupid. So if that comes out, I apologise. But yeah, my Xenomons, that's that sense of discovery we were talking about earlier. This is something I discovered among one of the 18 quintillion planets. And that feels very special. Similar to how I felt with Pokemon Ruby in the cartridge, discovering someone that you think no one else has seen. It's that magic that No Man's Sky has captured. Look what I found. Hey, let me breed it. Let me give you an egg. Now you've got it. We've done the trading. I raise my little creature and then we battle it. Or maybe I go off around some of these 18 quintillion planets searching for my own personal rare S rank. You know, and I cannot get enough. That sense of world and adventure and discovery and collecting and battling and community. I am getting it all from No Man's Sky Xeno Arena. And if you've made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think. What direction do you prefer? Does it matter to you if a monster collecting game is single player only? I mean, heck, some people might be playing No Man's Sky like that and never trade a creature at all. What do you think these games are missing? And do you agree that greed runs so much of the industry? Anywho, I've been Norman. You've been awesome. Bye! Norman Sky. Na, 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 no. Norman Sky. Na, 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 na.